to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Bankert. Councilmember Kim Shaw Elliott. Councilmember Todd Harper.
Present.
Councilmember Jody Shirley. Councilmember Anders Wellings.
Present.
Vice Mayor Lloyd Roberts.
Here.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Here.
City Manager Kyle Riefler.
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Meyer.
All right, thank you, Kathy. We're going to just go right into item number 1, which is discussion of repairing or remodeling the number 1001 Cedar Drive building. Take it away, Mr. Riefler.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an invitation to bid that I prepared for 1001 Cedar Drive, which is the Public Works building, which was previously a single-family home that was converted to a Public Works facility where we store equipment and tools. And during Hurricane Helene, it took on about 3.5 to 4 feet of water on the inside, and we lost a lot of the contents and had to cut out, pretty much what every resident had to do in the city, cut out some of the drywall and the plaster, remove all the wet, damaged contents. So we did get some claims back from our flood insurance. We had 2 policies, and we received total on the property. For the building, we got $76,242. And then for the contents, we received about $14,872. We lost a lot of contents, if you remember. We lost like a Christmas tree and other decorations, so small hand tools, saws, chains, all that. So a lot of these contents we did have to replace. But I wanted to point out just the building, claim that we did get back. We're at 76,000. So there is some insurance return that we had for this project to cover the costs. What I did, if you go to the large bid document, the first part of it is all the invitation to bid, and then a lot of it is the contractual terms, and it includes a sample contract, which is the second piece of the document, which is a lot of pages with a general description. But if you go to page, if you're on electronic version 15 of 136, you get into the, it says minimum specifications, scope of work for the bid. So I just want to run through, I placed this table for each one of your chairs. It's got some colors on it. What this is I took the scope that I drafted for this project for each piece of the building that needs repair, and I put it over on the cost table. But I color coded it, and what you're going to see is the line items in green, light green. That is the items that are kind of the base items that need to be repaired to get the structure back to a livable condition. The blue items, I had a discussion with the fire chief, and these items would be, if they do use that facility as a temporary rescue station or post for their new equipment and crew, we felt that these items are needed to get us to that level, for the fire crew to use it. And, what you're gonna see is more so like the changing out all the windows, because we feel if you're gonna have firemen stationed there, sleeping there, you're gonna need some good insulation, fire control, noise barrier, so that they can stay there. And in discussion with the new chief, he says that they're willing to split a 50-50 cost share on all these items, because they do understand that, typically if we were just going to replace or repair the house, we wouldn't go to the extent of doing all the windows, because we did not have water high enough that it would require the windows to be replaced. But I do think we could benefit from it if we use it for that purpose. Also under blue items, you're gonna see the kitchen sink, along with some counter space. We're talking just some lower cabinets, to provide a kitchen area for the crew if they were to stay there. And they would also need a walk-in shower. And then the orange color code is more so optional. I figured we could just have it bid on if it's a price that we think is, a good deal for the city, then we can take them up and have the interior painted. But I also feel like this is an item that we can do in-house, or even, with using some of the firemen, volunteers, all that. That's where we talk about painting. So I tried to break down all these items of my estimated costs, and then show that at the bottom. So right now, I estimate that the base repairs that are going to incur to the city, if we were only going to repair it back to a livable state, pre-flood condition, we'd be at about $60,000. But then if we were going to look at doing the upgrades, the windows, kitchen, shower, I think the project is going to come back somewhere around $75,000. I just wanted to show that number for our estimates. It's pretty close to what we got in return from the flood policy. They could come back slightly higher, slightly lower. We don't know. This is just an estimate. But I wanted to review. And also, there's a building diagram that I sketched up real quick. I'm just going to pass it out. But this is. So this is just to kind of give you a layout. I took the floor plan and just made some sketches on it. I labeled out what the rooms previously were when it was a house. I put the window locations, the dimensions of the windows. I did sort of an interior sketch of how the rooms are divided out to calculate the walls area. And all the outlets just to show the placement and the layout. But I just wanted to present this to City Council. I have to send it back to Attorney Ashenfelder to just do a final review of how it's all set up. But if in looking at these building elements, if there's anything that you feel that we are not covering, I'll just run over them really quick. A lot of the demo was done. We did remove a lot of the wet drywall that was in the building and a lot of the contents. There's still some overall just cleaning for all the dirt and mud that got into the building. So there is some additional demolition, flood cuts to do, and just general demolition. There's some equipment demolition. The AC, it's a split system. It was fairly old, honestly over 15 years already, but it's shot. The condenser got flooded, and then the air handler is not in great shape, and we had discovered a water leak that's coming right down in the closet. So there is a roof repair that needs to be done. So I have a general roof repair, as well as there's small areas of soffit and fascia that could be replaced. So I put that in there as well. The electrical, we did get from 3 outside quotes, so we do have an idea of what it's going to take to get the outlets and switches raised up to that 4-foot cut line. So I used that from the electric contractor's quote. And then again, we have the windows, looking to remove the tank water heater that is in the house and replace it with a tankless. We feel a natural gas tankless water heater would be the way to go for such a small house that barely uses hot water. And we had the tank, every time we turned the hot water on, I've been using it, it smelled pretty nasty. So we think it's going to be a better setup for the purpose of the hot water. And HVAC, we think about a 2-ton system, R32 refrigerant to bring it up to date, and everything else just interior finishes, the drywall texturing, and again, like the exterior stuff. I did a walk around, stuck over there is not too bad on the outside of the house. It's still presentable condition. I wouldn't look at it funny if I was doing code enforcement.
Okay. Well, I think for starters, We're actually setting this up for living space, but it's only for 1 year, correct? Roughly 1 year?
That's what we're talking about, as a temporary, space for them to operate out of, until they get a full term.
And just to recap, the insurance is going to cover the base repairs
Yes,
and part of whatever else we decide to do to it. But we, between us and the fire department, we're investing roughly 30 to 40 to do this renovation and make it a livable home again. Is that correct?
I would say, of our costs above and beyond, that we may end up maybe with 10 to 15 additional invested.
Okay, and have you received any feedback whatsoever from neighbors and people across the street or anything about the possibility of doing this?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. I think that definitely I would like to see the building put back together, especially if that's our primary storage for public works. But as far as all the other upgrades of making it, technically it's a home. I would like to, before we went down this road, I'd like to find out what people that live in this area think about that. Also, I'd like to know if there's any way possible that if they're cranking up their truck and they're leaving, are they blaring with the sirens and the lights on right there in the parking lot, or are they going down the street and then lighting it all up? These are things that I feel like we should at least make the community aware of what we're considering doing. And as far as the standard repairs go, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. That's what insurance is for. Put it back if we can, and then see what's next. I would love to hear everyone else's opinion.
I think we've got 61,000 in base and we've got 76,000 in pay up. So we've got a cushion of about 15,000 right there. I think that if you're gonna make it livable, I think the upgrades are exactly what you said, they're necessary in order to make it usable. And then it also offers the city a little bit more flexibility. If we ever need alternate shelter, we have an alternate place, including that building built for. It's got a sink, it's got a bathroom, it's got good windows, it's got good air, works fine. I would say on the optional pieces, I'm much more of it, if I'm gonna be under construction, I'm gonna be under construction and be done with it, and go back and revisit painting, revisit stucco repair, revisit all those other things, so cost is relatively minimal. I would say that should be factored into the actual project, so.
Okay, just bear in mind that it would be, I mean, we would be absorbing all the cost if the community said, no, we don't want a fire truck and some type of a paramedic vehicle.
I will amend my statement, and I will say if the paramedics are a go and they're willing to invest with this, I think it's a reasonable set of repairs. If it is not, and it's going to be a storage building, then this could be pared down.
So the intention is to bid this out, optionally, or we can take whatever line items we like the cost of. So my plan is to get this bid, advertised so that we can get some numbers in.
Okay.
I feel like, we got all the factors. If we go the route of using that as the temporary, it's there. If we don't, then we don't have to prepare and put it in notes for good.
Okay.
Can I kind of do brought up, I'm sorry I was late. The board meeting, so I'm trying to be two places at once if possible, but, up to date on, we're not using the building as a hurricane, and we're getting by without, is that what I understand?
More or less, we have stuff in there. It's kind of half
Or it's
full.
always told the meeting, because we have no meetings facilities here. So I've always had
It's useful.
an issue with us using that for residential, but we use it for commercial. No one else is.
That's correct. It's still going with a detached garage.
The fire department, they want to put trucks there. I thought they were just using it for support. Yeah. Oh, in our parking lot, just using it.
While they're waiting on the new fire hall to be
I
built.
understand that. And is there insurance on the building? Are we getting any insurance now?
Yes,
That's
that's,
the
that's,
75.
we've already deposited the money.
The 75,000?
We have that.
Yes.
So what would the long range? Of all this information?
I mean, we still use it as a facility. Since it's a temporary situation with them, I would imagine we move back into it.
Is there any way to gain access through our parking lot and expand the parking lot over there rather than, or a drive aisle rather than using the roadway and then wall it off or something so it becomes part of this property, not considered residential?
I thought that was
There
discussed.
was before, and I was told by Lynn, so I don't know.
No, I thought when they, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the fire EMS vehicles would be parked here. They would walk through here for an emergency. And because we didn't want the trucks, cars, EMS vehicles going down Cedar Ave.
We're talking about putting the steps up
Yeah,
to the parking
yeah.
lot.
So the only thing was, you brought it to me about putting sirens on not to get out there. That seemed like it really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with having emergency vehicles being dispatched from here. We're gonna have to get used to it eventually anyway. But I would still like to give the public the opportunity that we put it on as an agenda item in maybe our next work session, and we invite the public to hear what we're talking about. Or maybe just a separate town hall meeting where we say, this is the idea, it was proposed by the Pinellas Suncoast Fire and Rescue, and we're wanting to work with them, but we also want to make sure that the community's happy about it.
How about putting flyers in people's doorways?
Something like that.
I don't want to
As far as the storage goes, what's being stored there now?
Between the two buildings or just in the one building,
Just-
just everything kind of got crammed into the detached garage.
Okay, all right, so it has a detached garage.
Yeah, so we've been able to fit everything there. We lost a lot, but there was a lot of stuff that we were just sort of hoarding.
Okay.
That doesn't need to be replaced.
And, I mean, we would never, no one would ever live there anyway, none of our staff.
It's not permanent living there.
I'm wondering if, I mean, just thinking outside of the box maybe, is that property worth actually selling whenever this is over? So you get the house up to date, you let the fire and rescue guys live there for a year. We sell that property, which you know will be worth more than what we're investing in it, and then maybe build something in the back lot or something, some type of storage that's on our property instead of on Cedar. Because I don't know, it just doesn't seem like we're getting most bang for our buck on that one property if we fix it all back up again.
Going back, I remember talking to Lynn about this because the flood insurance on that building is astronomical because it's all commercial. He said it's residential, not even probably half. So if we bring it to living,
Flood insurance is about 7,000.
I thought it was more than that.
So
And because, is that commercial or is that?
it's institutional zoning, but yeah, I think it would be more if it was a residential.
Well, I thought it was less. Yeah. Sorry,
So,
paid for it ourselves.
yeah, my position on it is that we can somehow combine that lot with this existing lot. We see, because we can't get any more land, right? And so.
The lot behind it is also that one, too, just.
Next was the one who kind of raised Cain about us not, we didn't have a fence on us. So cars in the morning would start up their car, and there's people walking the bridge, shining lights in the people's houses that were, across the way. We were doing nothing to protect the residents from, I'm gonna call this a commercial use because that's what it is, compared to the residential property. And it's the same problem we're having here on some of the walkways and stuff. If we had a privacy fence, a walk wall, something to separate that from the hotels, we wouldn't be getting so many complaints about the hotel or, versus residential properties. So I'm not opposed to helping, but if we're gonna hang on to and do that renovation, we need to make sure it's something we can use. Or just knock it down and, and keep the land, but I think that, that's a call we have to make, but I don't clearly telling the residents that we have to vote, gotta be on a ballot, and all that.
You gotta watch knocking it down, because once you knock it down, the FEMA's gonna come in here and say you can't build unless you elevate.
Well, you
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the problem if we did a little field
If
trip
we
out
do,
there.
if we do a pole barn or
It's
something like
below.
that, we could shed.
It's below our parking lot,
Yeah.
so I think that's gonna be the problem, like trying to combine it with our existing property, so we have to be knocked down.
How do you get it tracked?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
ground elevate, so it's at this, so that at least we're starting at a point where, because I think if you look, this property's probably 4 or 5 feet higher than that one.
Yes, I would.
We're talking about elevating land over. That would be a whole other FEMA map, which is LMR or whatever, they probably would never go for that because of the word dream off.
People backfill property every time it's not.
In a residential area, I tried it, I couldn't get away with it.
Lloyd?
Not here.
Hey, just a quick comment on the siren issue, and I would feel 100% confident, Kyle, for you to handle this and talk to the fire staff. But I think it should be based on the time of the day, just my personal feeling. So in other words, I don't know, pick a time, like up till 8 p.m. They can use their sirens because the traffic flow out there, if they're coming out of this parking lot, they can't wait. So you got the traffic coming from all these different directions. So pick a time that you guys think makes the most sense. At 2 in the morning, they don't need to turn their sirens on until they pull out of the parking lot because there's not going to be traffic. And then, so then they're out on the main road, and then, sirens are coming by the main road anytime. We don't have any control over that. But we don't want them turning on their sirens at 2 in the morning when they're still in the parking lot right there. So you guys work out a time period that we're requesting. Nobody's going to jail if they violate it, but we would request that they don't turn on their sirens past 10 o'clock, let's say, until they're out on the road.
Yeah, when I was meeting with them, that's kind of what they explained to me, because they have that one down in Indian Rocks, it's right in the
Okay.
neighborhood, and they don't use sirens unless they absolutely have it.
They don't turn it on until we're like out into this road, almost to the corner.
But at 5 p.m. coming out of our parking lot, they're gonna have to turn on their sirens to make people stop that are coming back across the bridge and all that kind of stuff, to stop. So that would be fine.
And they hear it coming down the
Sure.
causeway.
Yeah?
Yep, you definitely hear them getting louder, but
I hear it on
they
my
don't
street.
start with
Yeah,
them.
They're right next to your house. That'll wake you.
Anyway, I think it's only right if we at least let everyone know of what the intentions are, and so that the neighborhood's not blindsided with what we think we're going to do.
Do you think it's done fast enough for them to use it? I mean,
Well, that's,
what's the time period?
they want to use it as soon as they can, that's why I'm trying to get the bid. I'm trying to get the things that take longer done now, and then we can make a decision later. So I just don't know what you do this advertised.
It
So-
seems like they need it now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about.
It's not that much work.
Well, they were awarded, I believe, another seat. So they've got new personnel that they need to train and get up to speed, and they're better yesterday than
We don't have the extra office space, so we have like,
We got the sheriff's office.
so when I want to still
Well, I mean, there's options. If we're gonna explore other spaces, I mean, we have a sheriff's office, and I guess we can move things around.
I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of offices.
There is.
It's not like you said.
Yeah, I would definitely, we need to find another space and move it around.
Answer right there, to get it, to help.
That's true.
We've got space and we can, you know.
It says,
I think it was my overnight.
shower's important.
This is the overnight stuff, remember?
And yeah, like overnight, I mean, they can probably sleep here, but the shower situation, right? Not right now. We have one in like the off garage, but it's kind of like an outhouse shower, you know, not conditioned.
Okay, Frank, got any comments?
Yeah, just about, the flood insurance and that way. Be correct in your names.
I'll find out. I thought it was lower than what a.
Well, we just got, the new guy just wrote the policy last year. Well, he must be happy.
Are we all in agreement that, next council meeting, we approve, opening for bids? Everybody good with that?
Is that before the residents are being informed?
Well, we're gonna put the house back together anyway. Just to what level? Are we putting new storm windows and making it super nice, or are we just putting it back to what it used to be? And that, I think that's really the determination.
I think most of that at this point is code, because I think all exterior windows in this county have to be impact.
Yes.
So we're kind of stuck with impact because that's what the
They
change
should
of current
cover.
code is.
Yeah, if you change them, yeah.
They can.
None were blown out, right?
No.
All right, well, let's move on to item number 2, which is to discuss increased code enforcement and procedures. Mr. Reed?
Yeah, so. On this page, it's just a departmental budgets for the code enforcement. And I went in and saw that at this point, as far as, the contractual services, to date, we spent 19,178 on code enforcement hours. So it leaves us with 17,822 we have less of it. So we went through about 30 weeks of the year, and there's about 22 weeks remaining. And we have some room in the budget, you know, just Sergeant Trump had taken some time off and things, so there was some, it wasn't every week we were doing 12 hours. So we ended up, we have enough in the budget to cover almost 19 weeks of the 22 remaining. So we need about another $3,000 to be able to bump up to 16 hours a week with the remainder. So I mean, it is doable. I just wanted to put that out there. We might just have to do a small adjustment.
So 16 hours would give them, what would that, would be 2 8-hour days, or would it be breaking up?
So we're going from
I think more days, more actual occurrences can come in, is better than longer shifts. Or 84 hours.
And right now, it's 2 days, 4 hours,
Right now, it's 3 days and 4 hours.
3 days, 4 hours, okay.
And then, I wanted to take some time to show you, our iWork that we started entering our code enforcement into.
And the sheriff can accommodate that.
Yes. They've always said that they can provide as needed code enforcement, so we could go down to just 1 day, or we could go really full time. Okay, so, there it is. So this is the iWork. We got this software to use for work management, and I'll just jump over to that. This is, you know, our work orders now, and we put them in as work is done. It's tracks and pictures and supervisors can keep track of what gets done and what still needs to be done. So we had another module, which was storm work management, because the way we do our storm reporting, we built a lot of it underneath the regular work management software, and then we just didn't need to use this storm work module for the actual storm or work orders, because we could put them under our regular work orders. So it freed up a whole module that we don't pay for that we could use. So I figured I'd use, because you can tailor it any which way. So I started making it more as a code enforcement tracking system.
Cool.
I'm just gonna grab one that's just like a multi-family as an example, so we don't. So this is all our code cases we're currently working on. And as an example, so like when we're just looking at them, we can kind of see status. We have open, we have closed, and then when Sergeant Trump moves it to code violation notice requested, that's kind of like he's exhausted his contact with that resident, trying to do the courtesy notice interaction, and then he switches to status, and that status gives me an email and kind of notifies me that I need to take it to the next level. I like this system because it keeps it all in one database that we all can have a login for, and then everybody can kind of see what's going on and add to it, as opposed to the end of the month. The way we were doing it is Sergeant Trump, he has to do his sheriff reporting. That's just mandatory. He has to log it in. But then he would have to do our reports, and then he would come into the office and try to put it all in a spreadsheet. It didn't nothing give it to me, and then I would try to compile everything that everybody else did that I did. It was getting messy. So I feel like this is going to be the better way for us to put our updated information into these cases, and then we can keep up with it. And it'll also work well for when I go to a hearing and I'll have it all in one place. But just for an example, you put all your case information up top, your general stuff like where it's located, what the date is, who did the code report, who like the first date you opened it, and then we have a notes down here, and then each time the deputy or somebody else goes there and enter a note into the system, and it populates it with the date, and you can attach things like pictures and images. But let me
Is it also mobile friendly? I mean,
It can
everybody
work.
has this on their mobile phone and just-
You can work on a phone, on a laptop, computer, desktop, and then you can add you can email your images, you can go into the gallery. So this is just a multi-family, but if I'm in there and I'm in a hearing, I can look at what pictures were taken, I can look at the notes, I can look at. I don't want to go into any other because I don't want to get into specific households, but I can look at like if there was a code violation notice, pull that up, and report the dates and everything to the magistrate. So we're excited about doing it this way. They are going to develop the graphs to make them over time, so we can sort out more fields that we're using. I'm kind of getting jammed up, but what I want to do is utilize their graphs that they already have built in for our report. We started this for work orders last September, but we got a little slowed down because of the storm. We just started about a month ago. So this is the first month for code enforcement that we're at it.
I think anything you can keep it in a central location and this electronic is great. I mean, the fact you guys were hand sorting through notes to pull together a spreadsheet that's gotta be so time consuming.
Yeah, it was time consuming, especially when we were crunched right up before our meeting. I'm gonna try to show a zoomed image of screen and share.
I mean, it's so different from like what I use on property management. I
Right.
go out to a site, do a site visit, I can document everything on my telephone, and then it downloads to my system.
Yeah, I'm having trouble here getting it up on the screen, but anyways, it kind of, utilizes it, and you can see all, the codes that you had. I was thinking, because a lot of times we talk about try to find a way to see the health of our code enforcement. And a lot of times we talk about proactive versus reactive enforcement. And ideally, I want to get it to a point where I can show like a pie chart, and we can kind of see each month, how much is reactive, how much is, complaint based, so that we can say, oh wow, he was really, reactive complaint based versus proactive. So he was out there this month, and he's just finding things because he's not getting any complaints. That would be a good thing. I would think, less complaints, more proactive code enforcement. So that's kind of the direction I'm going with this. And, we can make adjustments as we go. But I think that, as we move forward with this, everyone gets accustomed with it, it'll work out better.
It's good.
I wanted to just, walk through the ordinance language that we talked about in the code enforcement, the last council meeting, regular meeting. So in this agenda packet, we included the ordinance again there. And then there was a question on, because we're in chapter 2, and there was a strike through on section 243, subsection B, and it was about the 5 to 30 day time period. And we had, Attorney Myers was explaining to me that, the reason that they chose this language because it falls in line with the state statute. I called Attorney Trask last week and had a discussion. He was saying, because I was trying to explain to him, I think that, the days, having set days, it makes people know that like either it's going to be 5 days or 30 days, and that's the max period of expecting for some kind of correction on the code. But what he was explaining is that we can do that. We can have guidelines that we follow as far as how many days we use for each type of violation. But what he was explaining to me is that it's better to be in line with the state statute. For if you ever get challenged, you have to go to circuit court. That you don't start from different language. But that was kind of how it all goes back. So I just wanted to bring that up. If we feel that we need to have a set time period for certain violations, I'm more than willing to take your direction and do that. But I don't think it needs to be more.
No, it was explained well to me. I mean, once it was confirmed that it came from the state code, you don't want someone challenging all of your violations and then getting nowhere, right? We end up with could potentially just be lawsuits and things that we don't need to be involved in, so.
Okay. So,
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I understand I know of at least one person who really wants that code to have some teeth to it, but there's too many variables. Between 5 and 30 days is a bit extreme. And you need to have the flexibility to determine what is a reasonable amount. So I'm fine with it also.
I can say there's, 30 days. I mean, maybe in a situation where there's steps that need to be done, then it might be like, I could say a 45 day, but 30 day, to at least
Pretty standard
noted,
timeframe.
you were delivered, you were notified, 30 days. And then that also is just reach out, like, I've been notified, I have a plan, and then discuss it. So,
Kyle, I would say that if we're going to put a time frame in, then wording needs to be changed from to correct to start correction or have initiated correction. the very end of that cross out, because you can't do a 30-day and say you must be corrected in 30 days, because as we discussed, it's not feasible in certain circumstances, so.
Like I said, there's just way too many variables. And, circumstances are, you may have the same two violations across the city, and the circumstances are completely different. And so you have to use some that human element of judgment to determine what's reasonable. And so, yeah, I think this is good language.
Well, and I'm seeing, like, I almost feel like a second wave of construction starting, you know, where maybe we're just gonna take out insurance, I don't know what's happening, but, or roofers are just getting freed up enough to start new projects. Because on my street, 2 new roofs are, you know, starting this morning. So it's interesting to see the process, and, you know, there is a progression to getting out. And that's not something a homeowner can fix themselves, so, you know, roofs, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, just comment on the work management system. As we discussed earlier on, Kyle, that, you know, what you guys did initially in setting up all the scheduled maintenance and things like that, and the obvious benefits from that. But we knew going into this that you would run across tasks, challenges as time went on and say, wow, this tool is amazing. We can use this with this. And that's exactly what you're doing with the deputies' reports and things like that, which makes everything so much better. And just like you said, when and if you have to go in front of the magistrate, it's so much more effective when you're able to pull up electronically, right, wrong, or otherwise, as opposed to different papers. When they see that, it's more believable. It just is. So that's going to be great. Good job.
Thanks.
Now, while we're discussing this, would you mind just giving us just a brief report on where we are as far as cleaning up the city and taking care of some of these homes that nothing's going on? What's the game plan right now?
Well, I've been, you know, sending letters and making contact with people that are still substantially damaged. I found the one at 105 is going to be for sale. That was one that hasn't been touched. So the property managers said that they are putting up for sale. So Causeway. I discovered, or code enforcement officer discovered today, that there was another house that apparently the owner did not know that somebody was living in. They were building up items inside the house. So Sergeant Trump is in the process of getting that person out of the house. But he did like several reports today. And, the owner wants the person out of the house, and then we have a violation at that house for. We had an RV that wasn't permitted. They removed that, but they have a dock that's dilapidated. It needs to come out, and the pool is very disgusting. So.
Where's this at?
It's on Bayshore. So we're working through them. That house and along with the other one are the only ones that I'm currently aware of that are not being touched. But I still do not have every one of those substantially damaged either saying that they're going to demo or do a repair reevaluation.
So, I'll just say, for instance, there's one on my street, I know the owners are very, you know, they're old, they from Chicago, haven't seen in a while, but other than doing a little bit of demo and leaving a lot of trash in the yard, nobody did that. And I don't know, I would be interested to see what's happening with that. It's just been closed down, and I'm sure there must be several of those around the city.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that sold. You new owners or LLCs came in,
Are
did
they
some,
gonna float them?
well, I don't know what's going on, but some of them are so overgrown right now. And they've been told before, they did cut back before, but now we're in a real hard growing season, so it comes right back. And you don't see any movement. Yeah.
That probably means it's going to be demoed, and they don't care right now.
Who knows, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it was like, very, very aggressive at first. We thought they were gonna get back together, move in, but just stopped.
That happened one on Hibiscus, where it sold and put it back on the market for $200,000 more, and it's just all over garbage.
You got some of these streets here, I call them the tree streets, you know, there's no movement, you know.
I think some of these people are waiting for the grant. They cut out their house and they got a
Yeah,
lot of
they-
confidence, yeah,
Did you see my email today when I,
yeah.
But the elevate, it's only a small fraction of what it's gonna cost to elevate the home.
But they can't do anything to it until they get approved for the grant.
and they don't have one contractor yet. It's another government screw up.
So like, even if they plan on demoing it for the grant, they can't do it until they're approved, for instance.
So they still have to meet code requirements, so we're back to,
So if the house is, you know, locked, secured, it might be gutted out, like drywall removed, but
they gotta mow the grass, they gotta.
Yeah,
it's
they
gotta
take
look
care of the
presentable, It's
outside.
gotta be painted,
Yeah.
it's gotta, you
Yeah,
can't
All the
get.
debris.
We had one at the end of my street for years. The one with the tree in it, remember? The neighbors.
Oh, wow, that, yeah.
That house was vacant when I moved in 10 years ago, and he just tore it down maybe 3 years ago. But it was vacant, Lynn told me it was vacant for probably at least a dozen years. There's no power going
It
into
was
it.
just blocked.
Yeah, yeah, but now,
But you have to have power to.
Right, we
there
changed.
was no power. It was
I
cut.
know we can handle that.
Yeah. But now they kept the grass and the shrubs.
I just finished it in Notre Dame one on 7th.
Yeah.
That's good. I like when they're demo, at least something's being
It
done.
was a cute house, I didn't see
Yeah.
the damage, I was like, we took it down.
So, is there a way we can get an update as to like, you know, just a kind of a brief in writing, here's how many houses we still don't know, like we haven't gotten any feedback, like I would be interested in that.
Yes.
And
I've got
then the one with
charts.
the explosion, you know, I know there's structural stuff going on there and it's boarded up, but how long can you have plywood over the garage doors and stuff? Is that forever or?
Oh, yeah.
It's a Hummer, electronic Hummer.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know if our code ever even thought that I don't know that it addresses that, like someone boarding up their garage door, you know, rightfully so, but at some point,
There's code that says a structure under repair. Some of it is probably not as realistic, given the storm situation that there are.
They-
But there should still be a work, there should still be a work order, even if the work hasn't been done, there should be something to show they've moved it forward, other than just putting plywood on the meeting.
I mean, they've got to apply for permit at some point, right? How long are we giving them, you know, for that? Those kinds of things, like, you know, the house isn't habitable. Structurally, it's not sound.
So, yeah, so boarded up, houses that are in boarded up condition, I can, there's a
There's a few.
permit along with that.
There was 4,600 permits pulled in Pinellas County, and an estimate of 26,000 damages.
A lot of people didn't wait, they just moved forward without permits.
Which is fine, we can get an after the fact permit or something like that, you know, you just handle it.
Well, yeah, I don't care what they do, don't make the neighborhood look like hell, you know?
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right, and, you know, we've been getting a lot of emails about various complaints on Gulf Boulevard. Are all the paths to the beach now safe and secured and, nothing blocking?
Nothing blocking, I did locate all of the easements, and that turns out that fences are cemented, so I gotta figure out.
We need to do something other than chain link. Is it the same as the one up there at,
So if you look at these easements, some of them call for rails and some of them are the chain link fence, but they all, when they put them in, they all discuss how they're gonna construct the sidewalks and how they're gonna put the fences in. So I did ask Attorney Trask if we could change what we need to do to replace the fence with a different kind of fence.
is that anything to just give privacy to those buildings that would eliminate
Yeah, I don't know what thought process went in with the chain link when they were designing it.
We only had, they're probably as old as the accesses, they're probably
What are we talking?
1970.
The walkways that were for, I guess the
Oh.
easement's 3 feet, 8 inches for the sidewalk.
We're talking,
Like by the motel, you just want to do one goes in.
Oh, the long narrow ones.
Yeah.
But we're at least looking into it.
Yes.
Okay.
And apparently that building that was right on the fence, that's been there since the steeple was created, so all this was already thought out whenever they did it. So I think us taking care of the fence, the condominium taking care of the wall, and then the paint job after they do the repairs and some of that should take care of the area.
And there's something about a storage building, a standalone storage building. It was,
There's one that's, it's built like as part of like the fence. The fence stops on the backside of the building and creates that.
so did they build the building? Is it permitted, first off?
That's a tough one because it was apparently there when this easement was drafted, but permits back in like the late 90s, I don't have them. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Is it damaged? Requiring them to rebuild it, and, you know, we have a code now about sheds, that they have to be off the property line?
Yeah, I mean, I guess now that we have the easements, you know, take this all back to Attorney Trask and kind of work through it.
You know, sorry to dump that one on you, but we're getting complaints. So, all right, anything else on code enforcement and procedures in this meeting?
I don't know if I should bring this up now or maybe new business, but complaints are coming in on beach access lots, especially 6th Street. Last week, this is your typical day, there's not one parking spot available after 8 o'clock in the morning at 6th Street. Here's this guy, he parks in the handicap spot. Okay, no handicaps there. And all that's in there is these issued permits by Bel Air Shores. Now, our residents pay for every vehicle that they are able to park in. It's a minimal fee. These guys are parking for free. And
Are they
Instruct-
workers?
They're on the,
They're
working on the
workers
Alcatraz
for
property.
And they're also parking on the grass from First Street to Second Street, between the sidewalk and the street. Now, one of our residents park on the grass, we have conniptions. Now, this is only gonna get worse because you got more demolition, you got more construction in Bel Air Shores. Now, I worked construction all my life. No one gave me a parking spot when I worked in Philadelphia, Newark, New York City. I had to find my own spot. We have spots here, and they can park for a fee, like every other construction worker pays. So what are we gonna do about giving our residents back their parking spots?
So it's Bel Air Beach access that we pay for, but it's Bel Air Shores permitting people to park there.
Yes, and then the deeds to those lots, those deeds for those lots are given to the people east of Gulf Boulevard. And that's it. They're not given to anybody else, but they've just taken the liberty of issuing these paper permits. They put them in the front of their vehicle. And I'm telling you, some days there's not one spot after 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I've been by there most mornings and, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's all the Alcatraz construction sites.
Well, it's.
There's like 3 demos, there's like three units like demoed in that one 6th Street access area, and they're all rebuilt.
And the old mayor just sold his property,
Well,
down at 6th. And then Steve Bloom bought that, so he's gonna be tearing that house down to build another, as he calls it, monstrosity. So it's just gonna get worse, you know? So what are, I think, what are
I
we?
think there at least needs to be an intercity agreement about how parking is handled or how permits are issued or.
Well, these guys are tearing up our parking, trash and everything. The other thing is, I'm getting complaints about why those gates are locked. you know any reason why they would be locked at night?
It's always locked during the night. No parking
Yeah,
after
they're
sunset.
always locked at night. They always have been.
They haven't been before this storm.
Yes, they were.
Yes.
The sheriff's department would come and unlock them every morning at about
They would
5
open them
o'clock.
every morning, but there was never a lock.
I don't know about a lock.
Okay, yeah, I will go with that.
Well, I
And at 12
will
and
throw
19, there was,
them,
it was
that's what I'm
sliding shut, but there was no physical.
There was no physical lock. Now there is a physical lock
On the block fence.
on the black fence. And who's paying for that black fence? Are we paying for it or?
No, they've been renting it.
Who's renting it?
Dollar Shop.
They're renting their fence for our access?
They have, in the interlocal agreement, they're responsible for the gates. it says.
Got it.
And I think we just don't allow people to go in there at night. So that's why they get locked.
Just smart.
And the sheriff's department is the one that's historically been doing that, so I'd be interested in knowing if they're the holders of the key or if they're,
It's a tumble lock, so, I don't know why they're locked, because especially this time of year, people are working off the beach at 9 o'clock at night, sometimes it's locked, you have to squeeze through.
good question. I'd like to know who signed the permits,
They're a town clerk,
the town clerk.
Mary.
All right, it was, okay, probably not a bad idea to make a phone call and just ask the question. You know, I hate to,
Do they have an expiration date on them or anything, or they just
They
open
go for the
it?
whole year.
Oh, that's, so they may or may not be construction.
Sometimes you see them on the weekend.
well, I'm wondering if it's been photocopied.
Yeah.
I mean, is it specifically, does it have someone's name on it,
This one.
license plate number?
Oh, I could put this on my alarm. Yeah.
Messaged me today that the lock's full and he had other cars outside of it that he found spots for. I shared that with the clerks. They're aware of the lock. I don't seem to be getting anywhere with an interlocal agreement or, discussion of it. So I don't know if there's something.
But they don't call it, they don't call it a specific car or anything. They just
No,
give it just a
it
generic.
says, to sheriff's department, parking on beach access, this letter will authorize Wallace Construction, whoever, to park on that beach accesses.
Can I have one of those?
Yeah, this
No,
one.
my own car.
Yeah, $5.
Yeah, $5.25 actually.
Would you send
I'm
a,
saving you 50 cents.
Yeah.
would you send a copy of that to Kathy, and then you could just send it, email us all. And it's probably time to have
Seems a little,
this conversation.
seems a little
again.
presumptuous on their part, especially the issue for a year.
Like, clearly, they should say, okay, completely register the vehicles that we park there, or something.
Well,
or-
like I
Said
said,
by the vehicle.
you go into Tampa, they're not gonna give you free
Yeah,
parking.
but I mean, there's nowhere else to park, right? I
There's a
mean, so-
place here to park.
Well, yeah, but then we'll be complaining about parking here, so I
Well,
mean.
yeah, but we'll be getting revenue.
I mean, we get revenue on Morgan Park, it still doesn't make it right that as a resident, you can't get a parking spot down there.
But now this is just deeded to us, and we can't get a parking spot, we can't even get a parking spot in the handicap.
I think they need to rein in their permits and just figure out how to control it on their own
Yeah,
part.
they need to
But they also need to kind of have some level of agreement with us that they're using our
Yes.
spaces.
We've had, this is not anything new.
No.
It's just super bad now because of the storms and all the damage. And
Yeah.
you can see it's almost every other home now is being demolished,
Metal Church is horrible.
rebuilt. So this is not going away anytime soon. And,
It's gonna get worse.
I think that it's probably not a bad idea to have that conversation with them, and let's see if we can reach some sort of a reasonable expectation of what you can and can't do. Because it is bad whenever we can't even get on our own feet, we can't get to the
I think
beach.
every lot should have, and if they're gonna do that, they should reserve half a dozen for
Well, they should
residents only.
reserve one
The whole lot,
side.
the whole lot is permit only by definition.
Right, right, but if they're giving them out to construction workers, there's gotta be some policing those, you can't just give them an open-ended copy of a letter
And,
for the.
and I believe he said it best, the contractor gets one and photocopies,
Yeah.
you know?
It's on file.
Because that's what it looks like.
That,
Yeah.
that.
Just put a fresh yellow highlighter on it and it looks new. you know?
Some of them aren't even yellow. Yeah, so
Copy the
They're even
highlighter.
getting cheaper with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to at least have to have a conversation and see what kind of response happens. And if you would like for me to be there with you, and then we just go and sit down with them and say, look, this is what we're seeing, be more than happy to do that. Okay. All right, anything else?
Just a question, when does planning and zoning meet again to talk about code?
We tried to do this Wednesday, but we did not hear back from 2 of the 4 to get going. So we're pushing for a second week of June at this point.
That means they don't even have a chair right now, correct?
They have a chair, but we had one member who committed to the last 2 meetings we tried to have, but we, one that's never health, something going on, and another that we didn't hear back from, so we're 2 members for every.
So we have 4 members total on the,
We have 4 of them,
we have 4 total.
yes, so 1 seat is open, and no
Who's the
alternate.
chair?
Doug Prescott.
Delegates, that's what I was just.
Well, I was just wondering, because he was just voted back in, but don't they still have to elect a chair?
They would do their appointment again.
Okay,
So we have 1 open seat. Okay.
so let's move on to item number 3, the one that everyone's been wanting to talk about. This is discuss city clerk interviews. Before we get started, I will say that Vice Mayor Roberts and we received a drive-by email. I did respond to that email to ask who they were
I thought the
and
same.
what their address was, and I got nothing. So just to summarize it, it basically said, we have 2 candidates right now, neither are qualified, we need to re-advertise. I'm not saying that I agree with that, I'm just saying that I'm passing the message along. But again, it was a drive-by, and we don't really know who that was or what their intentions were. But that being said, we have 2 candidates, and then there were 3 more that were added today.
Correct.
I looked at those 3, and I didn't really see, anyone that I would prefer over the 2 candidates that we currently have.
Agree. There was one very young person out of school that was a clerk currently, that wasn't very much experience. And they were out of state.
They were like,
I've already read one.
I agree, Kyle. I did see one of the 3, one of them at least had some merit. The candidate was fairly young, but she did have a degree from University of Florida and is currently sitting in as a deputy clerk. But not a lot of experience. But at least that person seemed qualified, the other 2.
What is that? Deputy clerk, what is that?
Like city
Oh,
assistant.
was it city deputy clerk?
Right.
Okay, I thought you meant sheriff department.
Right, so that was in New York.
Right.
Scarsdale, New York. So she would report to the city clerk. Yeah. Deputy clerk reports to the city clerk.
Yes.
So
And what was it located?
she said that in her letter. But that's where we are.
Have we bumped up her pay at all since she's doing 2 jobs? Or
You're always the, I want to give somebody a raise without
I
a
know,
budget.
just don't forget, we're gonna be squeezing on the budget because we're gonna have some
Well,
drops.
don't forget, she's doing a job that we were paying a reasonable salary, so I think
Kyle
she
has an answer for that.
So we're not compensating her anymore right now, because we didn't look at our handbook, and it says that she's a non-exempt employee and can fulfill the role of clerk. Given that it was a short time period, we thought it was okay.
Which is short time.
For a couple of weeks right now, so.
Yeah, when you said that person was old, Jody, you know, what's that mean? Are you talking about the people in the house? Saying they were old.
Oh, yes.
Be careful.
Older than us. Older than us.
I mean, it's always been older than me, that's all. I 25 years, you seem like an older guy.
Yes.
The mayor defined it earlier as when you go to Walmart in your pajamas. That's
Well,
all.
I see it now, I'm waiting to their slippers.
All right, well, other than Rita and Kathy, did anyone else have any interest in the other candidates? Okay, and has everybody reviewed the two applications from Rita and Kathy?
Yes.
All right.
I've not reviewed the new ones because.
Was there a closing date when you just put out the applications?
No,
Or
no,
it's just sort of.
And since we scheduled the last, the two interviews, these are the three I got. So they're not really rolling in, it's been out.
Kyle, I'm gonna spec, I can quantify the conversation. So we started off with a mix of people, but we had about 32 applications come in initially. Of the 32, you filtered down to 4. Of the 4, we interviewed 2.
So I filtered 6.
We filtered 6, we chose 4, we interviewed 2. And since then, we've had 3 more than that. Is that correct, Matt?
3 more applications have come.
Okay.
And the reason we interviewed 2, because 2 dropped out.
Correct, so they self-selected out.
Right.
So that's fine. I guess my take on it is that you've been posted for a reasonable period of time now, and these applications coming in on the back end of the cycle are late in the cycle. And I didn't see any qualifications that stood out in my mind that would make me pull a resume to go through the whole process again. That's the way I see it. So where I see it right now is we've done full cycle with 2 candidates. We have a reasonable opportunity here to have conversation about those 2 candidates, and then depending on that conversation, we can choose to entertain additional candidates if that is needed.
That's right.
Is that a fair way of looking at this?
Yep.
Okay. Just making sure I've got the bar set right.
So unless someone on the council has a differing opinion, it really comes down to, do we want to move this Rita down and get her in this position, or are we comfortable with keeping Kathy? And the one that I really want to hear from is City Manager Riefler.
So,
Their recommendation, should we excuse Kathy? What do you think?
It's a public meeting.
Okay.
so, you know, we looked at all of these applications and we picked out ones that we really thought that could do the job based on their, you know, their experience. You know, obviously we wanted anybody with political experience firsthand, and we wanted to interview, so we spoke to them all, and like as Member Harper mentioned, that we had 4 that we were willing to put in front of you guys, but 2 of them, I guess, just lost the interest. I don't know if it had to do with part of the relocation, who knows. What we're seeing though, with the last time we advertised for city clerk and this time, you know, with all the, we hope that we get like local deputies in this area. There's a lot of them, but we don't see that when we advertise the open position. We're seeing a lot out of state. So, I mean, we know people want to move to Florida, but it seems like that is the ball to look again, these people coming from out of state. I do hesitate, I mean, given what happened, Renee was amazing as a city clerk. The mayor did bring it up when we were hiring, and there was a possibility that she could leave after a certain period of time, so I'm a little hesitant about putting myself right back into that situation, but this time around, we don't really have that person who's motivated to move and also has all that experience, because, you know, that would probably be my go-to again, because it just makes sense, but in our situation now, I think we have 2 candidates. I thought they were both great attitudes and can-do personalities that just are willing to take on challenges and learn new things, which I think is essential, especially for, again, we're a small city and we have new things presented to us all the time that we never have done before, we have to figure it out. So, I mean, all that said, we have somebody who has experience that's been here at the city, knows the staff, goes well with the team. To me, it seems like she would be the choice to use. I don't know if that the next city council meeting, like this.
All right, and comments, council?
Can I ask a clarifying question? And this is kind of a little predated before my time here, but Renee was here for a year and I don't know the reason for her departure, but was it because of the completion of certification and a better opportunity came along?
Yeah, a headhunter tracked her down.
So we brought her in and funded the CMC, or she just completed, she had it when she got here? Okay, got it. So she was recruited, but we didn't fund it, so.
If anything, she was probably way overqualified for Bel Air Beach. And she, as soon as she got here, she upped her qualifications to a higher level. And then word got out, and then she was gone. And so I'm afraid anyone that is highly qualified, if we move them in, the same thing's going to happen.
My comment was really for context in the idea that we are a small city and we are ripe to be poached.
Yes.
We look at our lawyer, we look at our clerk, people are poaching all the time. So I'm much more of the mindset of what we've done with Kyle, which was bringing somebody that knows the city, has the right attitude, and can grow into the position, and that gives us an opportunity to grow with them. That's the way I see it. So if it came down to the two candidates, I would look at what Kathy rated as being here, qualified and ready to go. I thought Rita was a very nice person, but I thought that she was on a little bit of the lower scale of the qualification, and I was really concerned with her tenure in her previous position. She bounced, even if it was in the same company, she bounced around every 6 months. Now, I think that if she wants relocation and we're looking for an assistant, then that might be another opportunity for her to look at as far as another position. When the clerk position is filled, we might have another opening that we would consider for them. Again, that's my.
Frank?
I think we should give her a shot, Kathy. Rita's interview, I felt like I was at Universal Studios on a new roller coaster. She was just all over the place, and looking at her resume, you can see, I mean, it was simple that Anders pointed out that I'm not qualified to work in the United States. I mean, as a city clerk, I think you'd be a little bit more,
Teach
on that,
cross-side.
and I think, like you said, she just bounced around, even in the same department. I think she would take another job in a heartbeat, whether she was here for 6 months, or 6 days, or whatever.
To get here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were a means to an end.
yeah, I agree with you 100%.
You know, I haven't heard anything out of Anders.
Yeah, no, yeah, I would like to, I'm in favor of promoting from within and giving Kathy opportunity. However, just to be fair, I thought when I read Rita's resume and the way I thought she clarified that those were all promotions, not really like job hopping around. So I felt like, she was apparently very, very aggressive and tries to, really, I thought people thought that she was doing good work, and so she was being promoted. So I really wasn't holding that against her. But I do really like the idea of, and just one other point, her origins were, it seemed like, or at least part of her origins was in St. Pete, and she was wanting to get back. So I didn't feel like like she just wants to move to Florida. But that aside, I still like the idea of promoting within, giving Kathy a chance and to grow, and I like her dedication to this city. So yeah, that's where my head's at. And then I like the idea of maybe, I don't know if this Melissa person, the young one, might be willing to be the backfill for her. I don't know, that's an interest to me, maybe, and I'm not sure if the other one, if Rita would want to do this move as the backfill, but maybe this young, Melissa might be something that would be a good fit for that. So I don't know what you think, Kyle, but yeah, that's my point of view right now.
Is
Judy?
Yeah, I'm a real strong proponent to hiring within. We've got two people that have comparable experience, and it would be foolish to bypass a current employee to hire someone from the outside. So my support.
All right. Vice Mayor Roberts?
Thank you, sir. I agree, Kathy's the right person for the job, and here's why. I asked the question in the interview regarding if you had two fictitious people applying for one job, one of them extremely technically qualified, the other one not so much, and one of them had the perfect personality for your organization. Which one is the better fit for the company? And I feel very strongly it's the personality and the fit. You can teach 99% of the people the technical aspects of what they need to do for the job. You can't teach somebody a personality. That's not happening. And it's even stronger, I think, with Kyle's situation. We have, what, seven employees for the city. You know, if you get somebody that may not, we don't know, may not be a fit, that can cause uncomfortableness within the organization. We only have 7 or 8 employees back in. If you have 47 and you have one of those, you don't feel it as much. We already know Kathy. We know how she fits in with your workforce. And everybody's comfortable with her. We've heard nothing but good things. So I think that's a strong attribute for her to have, and why it's important that we select her.
Good. All right, I feel the same way about bringing up from within. I think that so far I'm very impressed with Kathy's attitude and her willingness to help. I am a little leery of what you don't know yet. If we do this, it's imperative that you do get your certification and work hard towards it. Also, it's imperative that you maintain constant contact with the Board of Elections, Pinellas County, the state, to cover us, to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do also. That's the one thing that I can say about Patty Gentry, is that she did it for so long. She would just pick up the phone and call you. Hey, you know, this is due in a week. Where's it at? You know, don't make me wait on it. And that was awesome. And I would love to see some more of that out of you. But I'm willing to give you the opportunity. And I think the rest of the council and the city manager is feeling good about it. So I don't know what the next step is in the process, but you have my vote.
Attorney Trask says I can bring this as an agenda item at the next regular meeting.
Perfect. All right. Well, would you like to say anything?
I just would like to thank everyone for the opportunity to show you what I have, and I'm looking forward to learning the position and to get started with the training and be there. I'm not looking to go or move anywhere else. This is my home, and this is where I want to stay.
All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, because you've been here for a while now. We're all very familiar with you.
Can I just ask a question? You said you'd bring it to the next council meeting for a vote.
Next week.
Do we have, will you draft an offer or something? How do we, I mean, because we can't, how's that gonna work out? Because we.
So with Renee, we did a resolution with Attorney Trask, so we don't need a resolution, but I just made a recommendation with the pay that we can go with that
So
way as
if
an
we
official
have
action.
some input, we should probably talk to you so you could consider that one there. Because she works for us, right? I mean, that's kind of, yeah, for the council, so we need to make sure that that offer looks like what we want to.
Yes, so any recommendations, please contact me. And then I will recommend at the next meeting.
Okay.
For discussion.
Now, the only thing that I'd like to see on there, other than obviously paying her, is that, that she is working towards getting that accreditation, and then maybe she sticks around for a while.
And then with that requirement, it might change, so I'll bounce that off of Tom.
Okay.
To see what he thinks.
How long does it take to get, there's a couple, three certifications?
There's the CMCs, there's the MMC. So there's the certified municipal clerk and the master's municipal.
So how long does the first one take? Almost 2 years?
Almost 3 years, yeah.
And then how long does that happen?
That one takes quite a bit. I think that's like the city manager where you really have to have a lot of years' experience. And it's full on executive or clerk years, account full credit, or you can get like partial credit for other positions.
Because we advertise a salary range of what, 77 to 81?
That sounds right.
That's what I was gonna ask. So what type of conversations took place with the interviewees that contacted you? So we had it advertised from what to what? Salary.
77, 80.
Yeah, let me fact check that. I think it was 77, 81.
That's what was advertised for the position. For the hiring range was gonna be between that and that. Okay. All right.
All right, now we are on to general business. Do we have any general business?
I just want to mention, next week I have the FFMA City Manager Conference in Orlando. So I will be leaving Tuesday and returning Friday. It's just going to be a tricky week, but Kathy and I will be in communication, getting the agenda ready for the regular meeting.
Okay, and are you planning on advertising for the administrative assistant?
Yes.
All right.
Do you have any resume you can pull from the previous advertisers to see if they would be, I mean.
I'm gonna try.
separate, maybe there's.
I was going to try if we're really interested in possibly the younger application we got coming on.
Meeting that's decided 6.
So we have that being delivered tomorrow afternoon to around Wednesday. And, should come, it's gonna be dry, so we're just gonna get it now, I'm gonna get it in before we do that.
Talk to them about
Any other general business?
I have a quick one. So Bel Air Beach is in the middle of its 75th anniversary. I had a neighbor that recently passed away, Teresa Haverkamp, and in cleaning out her belongings, I ran across a document that I think would be really interesting to hold historically for the Bel Air Beach Foundation. So it's actually the 50th anniversary book for Bel Air Beach. And it goes back and it includes newspaper articles, minutes of meetings, permits, all kinds of things. So I just wanted to donate this to the foundation that it's of use, but I don't know whether we ever choose to augment it for 75 or 100, but it's, at least it's a nice,
what's the date?
2000.
No, I'm talking about the date it was found, man. Like March, April.
November.
I think it was November of 1950.
I mean, not November, March
Wait, so-
16th.
It's all in there.
Right?
Randy looked it up.
16th?
I think so.
16.
It's a Sunday.
We might put word out too for, any photographs. Find out a photo of
This is the original
Harrison.
Bel Air Beach Foundation.
With what else is on it. There was one house.
Yeah, what I,
It was an old,
Everybody wants one, but I think it's good, good at least for the historical record, it's probably better in the hands of the foundation than anybody else.
I would like to see something out there that's permanent, that maybe has 3 sides on it or something that would show kind of the history of our community and what it looked like before they ever started bringing all the sand in and building up the barrier island or the fingers. And I've seen some interesting stuff on the internet, but I think that would be cool to have.
Well, you brought that up, bringing the sand in. Is there any information on bringing sand in?
No, not at this time. I'm still, in fact, I have a TDC meeting Wednesday, and if I hear anything, I will pass that information along. All right?
Last I heard, they're still trying to permit that project, right?
No, it's going in permitting, but it really boils down to who's gonna fund it. The Army Corps, they're being hardcore on saying no. And the county, it's hard to let go of that much money whenever you've got it just sitting around doing nothing. So,
Because you're not building a stadium, right?
correct.
Is that completely off the table, or is that?
It's no longer really being discussed at all. So, there's other little projects they're doing, but the big pile of cash remains. At the end of the day, it's going to have to come from the Board of County Commissioners. And until they say, we're funding it, we don't care, we're getting it done, but you can't get them in unison to say that. Instead, you get, in private talks, yeah, I'll vote yes for that, but it never actually goes to a vote.
I just don't understand, we have a Republican House rep, 2 Republican senators, a Republican. Well, they hold the badge, and they can't get to Trump to shake his tail with the Army Corps of Engineers. It just doesn't, I just can't understand.
I think with the current administration, it's the big problems first, and then the
I
little
understand
problems
that, but this
later.
is a good-sized problem that he won considerably in his county, you know?
I agree.
And the letter that you guys drafted was great, and it should have just resonated right there and done.
I agree. All right, anything else?
Yeah, real quick, I'd like to ask, I guess, the permission of the council and the mayor to get with Kyle, and I need more than help anyway, and Kyle, regarding, I think we really need a pay study for our city. Because it seems like here lately we're reacting to trying to create and adjust salaries for staff because of different variables that are entering into the equation. But we really, I don't know, maybe we do, but I don't think we have, a lot of organizations will pay way too much money, I think, for a company to come in and do a pay study for their 85 different positions they have in their organization. And you're basically setting up, what's your objective here? Our objective, it sounds like, we don't want to lose staff. We only have 7 or 8. So when one of them goes away, that's a large percentage of the staff, and that impacts Kyle and the other staff here in the group. Again, if you have 45 and one leaves, typically not a big deal. Somebody picks up the workload and everything continues until you hire somebody else. Not so easy when you have 8. So the pay study, we can set it up so we have, here's the pay range. And our city always wants the best. So if we want the best staff, we have to set up those positions where we have a minimum and a maximum and a midpoint. So we know that going into it from this point forward, from the time we finish this thing. And we want to set it high because we want the best. We want the best staff.
Didn't we just do that about a year ago?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it was done, because we had the public works of a bunch of different different city areas.
We were looking at
Yeah, and we had the city clerk, and we had,
I think it was a clerk and steam manager, I don't know. if it did.
We were only looking at charter positions. We were not looking
There
at
was something else.
staff. And this goes back to what I've always said, is that we don't manage his staff, he manages his staff. And so if he feels like we're not competitive, we're not paying his staff competitively, it's because he's not coming to ask for it. And so, at the end of the day, if he wants to hire someone to do a pay study for his staff, add it as a budget item and get it done. But I always get a little leery of us trying to get involved in his staff.
Well, it's not really with his staff, it's the positions. It doesn't matter who the people are in this case. We're defining the positions and what we think the salary range should be.
And I don't want to define that. I don't want to be the guy that does that. I think that goes back to the city manager, and I want him to manage that. Because we're not managers. We've just got two, well, we have three employees, and that's it. And they're serving us, and they're asking for permission for things like, hey, I'd like to increase salary 10% across the board, help me out. But
Well, then that's something I'd like to ask Kyle, if you did, you go ahead, if you could. And you've done a lot of that work already, I think, when you're looking at the coastal towns around here. I just think we should set the bar where we're at the upper echelon, so that people don't have the opportunity to pick people away from us. Because that's, at the end of the day, oftentimes, that's what really makes that decision. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So if we can set, and I think we have an advantage again, because we only have 7 or 8 positions. So we can set it higher. We can be the ones out there that are saying, we're gonna get the best and the brightest and the hardest workers because we're paying more. And we want our staff to fit that definition, all of it.
Didn't we find it was easy to just go to the League of Cities and get that information? Like they already had done the work?
They have
Yeah.
that done.
That'd be
We
great.
could start with, a lot of times, you see all the grades listed out in general descriptions, and it kind of shows you like what job description falls where. We could try to start from a larger, grade 1 through 100 something, and then try to find where we feel our positions would be and create our own grade scale.
But didn't we bump up our public works? We did, yeah, we tried to, yeah. And we used to study,
And would it be better, because I know you have a lot on your plate, if that's something that we'd like to maybe someone volunteer that's on the council to do some of that legwork for you, that, because right now you're short-staffed and you're trying to get some people.
Yeah, so it's just,
Perfect. Because I think it's better to be proactive than that. We seem to be reactive. So all of a sudden, we feel like we're underpaying a particular group of people. And we're like, whoops, we need to fix this. So let's just get out in front of it. Let's get out in front of it.
So I guess then the next question is, Lloyd, since you're bringing it to the council, you could do the work for us?
Sure,
Okay.
Absolutely.
we like action items, don't we? All right. Is that it?
I had one point I wanted to say.
Yes,
Hey,
Hans.
Kyle. Hey, Kyle, on the 9th Street pump station at the Gemini work, so right now, are they scheduled to come back to us in about a week? Are we a week into the 2 weeks they said, or where are we?
I'd say a week from now, because I tried to see if we could squeeze it into a work session this week.
Okay,
It wasn't in the cards, so I asked for that report as soon as they have it, I'll just send it to you guys.
okay, and so then if that comes in and say a week like they committed, we'd be talking about it in like mid-June, is that what you're thinking?
As soon as we can, yes. My intention is to keep it moving. So as soon as I get that report back, get it to you, and then, kind of get some
Do we
feedback.
have to discuss it in a work session?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay. So we could say, yes, we like it, and let's take it to there's 2 options or something, and we bring it to a council meeting for a vote. Okay, all right, good. All right, yeah, and have you gotten any feedback on how they're progressing? Are they on schedule, on track, do you think, or?
Yeah, last thing that, he said was that after he finished the conversation, and you guys were set on what, your discussion.
Deliverables
that
were,
he would-
right, yeah.
He felt like that would have been like start roughly about the 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so he just wanted to make sure he had everything figured out, what he
Okay.
asked for.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion. You want to have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, let's go home. Thank you for filling in tonight.
it was taken